You move to Massachusetts for a job. Good salary, promising career. You sign the lease, unpack the boxes, and 3 months later you're staring at your first paycheck, wondering where a third of it went. Welcome to the tax laboratory of America. Massachusetts doesn't have the highest taxes in the country, but it has something more interesting. A system so layered, so quietly aggressive, that most people living there don't realize what they're actually paying until they try to leave. Let's walk through exactly what happens to your money the moment you become a Massachusetts resident in 2026. First, the income tax. Massachusetts has what they call a flat tax, 4% on earned income. Sounds simple, sounds fair, and compared to California's 13.3% top rate, it almost sounds like a deal. But here's where it gets strange. In 2022, voters approved a ballot measure adding a 4% surtax on income above $1 million. They called it the Fair Share Amendment, the millionaire's tax. Except it doesn't just hit investment bankers and trust fund heirs. It hits small business owners who sell their company once in their lifetime. It hits retirees who sell the family home in a hot market. One-time windfalls, stock option exercises, inheritance liquidations. So Massachusetts now has a flat tax that isn't actually flat. 4% for most people, 8% once you cross $1 million. And that threshold? It doesn't adjust for inflation. So every year, more people drift into it without getting richer. But income tax is just the appetizer. Property taxes in Massachusetts are among the highest in the nation. The average effective rate is 1.23% of a home's value. That might not sound devastating until you remember what homes cost there. The median home price in Massachusetts right now is around $620,000. That's over $7,600 a year in property taxes. For a median home. In wealthier towns like Newton or Wellesley, you're looking at $12,000 to $15,000 annually, sometimes more. And unlike states like California with Proposition 13, Massachusetts reassesses property values regularly. Your taxes go up when your home value goes up, whether you're selling or not. Now here's the part they don't advertise. Massachusetts is one of only a few states that taxes capital gains as regular income. You sell stock, you pay the same rate as your salary, 4%, or 8% if you're over the threshold. Most states either don't tax capital gains at all or tax them at a lower rate. Massachusetts treats a stock sale the same as a paycheck. And if you think you can avoid it by moving, think again. Massachusetts has an exit tax. Not officially. They don't call it that. But if you were a Massachusetts resident and you sell assets within a year of leaving, they can still claim you owe taxes on the gain. They argue you were still economically tied to the state. It's murky, it's aggressive, and it keeps accountants very busy. Let's talk about sales tax. 6.25% statewide. No local add-ons, which is actually decent compared to places like Chicago or Seattle. Groceries are exempt. Clothing under $175 per item is exempt. So your day-to-day shopping isn't obliterated. But Massachusetts has a car tax that catches people off guard. Every city and town sets its own excise tax on vehicles. It's based on the value of your car, and it resets every year. You buy a new car for $40,000, you might owe $700 in excise tax the first year. And you pay it to your town, not the state. Some towns are more aggressive than others. It's a tax lottery based on your zip code. Then there's the estate tax. Massachusetts starts taxing estates at $1 million. And here's the twist. It's not just the amount over $1 million that gets taxed. If your estate is worth $1.1 million, they tax the entire $1.1. Not just the $100,000 over the threshold. It's called a cliff tax. Cross the line by a single dollar, and suddenly everything is in play. The rate escalates quickly, 16% at the top. And because the threshold hasn't been updated since 2006, inflation has dragged more middle-class families into it. A paid-off house in the suburbs, a retirement account, some savings. That's $1 million now. And your heirs lose a chunk of it before they see a dime. So let's add it up. You're a household earning $150,000 a year. Comfortable, but not wealthy. You own a median-priced home. You drive a decent car. You have some investments. Income tax eats $6,000 of your salary. Property tax takes $7,600. Car excise tax adds $500. Sales tax on your spending, conservatively, another $2,000. You're at roughly $16,700 in state and local taxes before you even touch federal. That's over 11% of your gross income. And you haven't saved for retirement, haven't paid your mortgage, haven't bought health insurance. Now contrast that with New Hampshire, 20 miles north. No income tax, no sales tax. Property taxes are higher, yes, but if you're strategic about where you live, the math flips in your favor fast. That's why Massachusetts has a border problem. High earners move just across the line. They keep their jobs in Boston, they shop in Massachusetts, but they sleep in New Hampshire. The state calls them freeloaders. New Hampshire calls them smart. And here's the irony. Massachusetts spends more per capita on public services than almost any state in the country. The schools are ranked number 2 nationally. Healthcare access is among the best. Infrastructure is aging but functional. You're getting something for those taxes. But the system is designed to extract maximum revenue from people who are just comfortable enough not to leave. The truly wealthy can hire accountants to structure around it. The working poor get exemptions and credits. The middle and upper middle class? They pay full freight. And the state is counting on them staying. Because Massachusetts has an economy built on education and healthcare. Institutions that don't move. If you work for a hospital or a university, your options are limited. You can't remote work your way to Florida. So you stay. And you pay. The question nobody wants to ask out loud is how long that works. Because the math is starting to crack. Massachusetts lost population in 2021 and 2022. Not a lot, but enough to notice. Young families especially. The people who would normally buy homes and pay property taxes for 30 years. Some of them are moving to North Carolina, to Texas, to places where a 3-bedroom house doesn't cost $700,000 and the tax bill doesn't feel like a second mortgage. Massachusetts keeps raising revenue, keeps spending on services, keeps telling itself that quality of life will hold people in place. But here's the thing about tax systems. They're sticky until they're not. And once high earners start to leave, it's very hard to get them back. So if you live in Massachusetts, you're not just paying taxes. You're making a bet that the schools will stay excellent, that the healthcare will stay accessible, that the infrastructure won't crumble, that the quality of life will justify the cost. And maybe it will, but the state's counting on you not doing the math too carefully. Because once you do, you start looking at maps.